Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia. Welcome to Women in Business, where we celebrate influential women making a difference in our community. Now, here's your host.
Hello, this is Lori Kennedy, and I'm your host today for Women in Business, powered by Business RadioX. Stone Payton, our producer, is also in the studio with us today, and we're grateful to have you tuned in with us. Today, we have three amazing ladies. We are going to be interviewing Lori Devaney from the Innovation Spot, Shelly Farrar from Riverstone Corner Bistro, and J. Michael's Prime Steak and Seafood. Yum. And then we also have Christa Skinnell from 988 Events. And I am going to start with tell me about your business name, what you do, and how long you've been in business. And I'm going to start with you, Christa.
Hey.
Hey.
Well, I am Christa Skinnell with 988 Events. I came up with the name. It's basically the month and year I met my husband. We were 16 years old in September of 1988, and it's just been a journey ever since. So that's where we came up with the name about a year ago. So our company's launched last May. So I'm super excited that we've hit that 1 year mark. We do corporate events and private parties.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome. All right, Lori, let me ask you. Tell us about what you do and how long you've been doing it.
My name is Lori Devaney, and I am with the Innovation Spot. We opened about a year and a half ago, just shortly after COVID started releasing here. We are a co-working space, and we have any conference rooms, private offices, hot desks, anything that you need to go ahead and run your own business. How did we come up with the name? So the Innovation Spot, I think that, I love creating and working with different businesses, and we have a lot of different businesses in this co-working space. And I think every business has the potential to be very innovative, and there's a lot of innovation that comes out of this little spot.
Well, how did you come up with the idea? Because I feel like co-working spaces are relatively post-COVID,
Actually, that is kind of not the case. And I would love to take credit for this, but it's not my brainchild. I would actually have to say my husband, Tom Devaney, is the one that really had the idea to open this here in Woodstock. But he is... He's a professor over at KSU in the executive MBA program, and they do an international residency where they travel to different countries every year with the classes, and they've been doing a lot of travel in South America, and this is how people work in South America in particular. It's a cost-effective way for businesses to have everything they need in an office. A lot of times the overhead for a conference room or a break room or, all the other spaces that you need in an office is not always necessary, only if you use them once a month or something like that. So it makes sense to share that space, thus have a co-working space. But co-working has been a thing in other countries and here in the United States to a lesser degree for a good number of years.
Okay, awesome. Well, Shelly, tell us about your businesses and how long they've been around and what the story is for how they were started.
Oh, goodness. Well, for my husband and I have been in the restaurant world for like over 30 years. And we never thought our kids would want to follow in our footsteps. And one day we're on a trip to Florida, and my 19-year-old son at the time says, Mom, Dad, he's like, can you help me? I want to open up a restaurant. And I was working in the corporate world. My husband worked for P.F. Chang's. And we were like, listening to him. He had his own little business plan, and he was like, we were like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, Mom, I want you to leave your corporate job and come help me. And Dad was a breadwinner.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I was like,
okay.
I was like, and, we've always supported entrepreneurship, things like that. We've always wanted to open our own restaurant. And here we have a son who's 19 pushing the envelope way before we did. So long story short, I was a realtor as well, and I said, well, that's fine. You have to find the place. You have to put half down. And, when you do that, I will give my notice and we'll go from there. And he found a place within 2 weeks, negotiated with the money that he had to give 50% down. And, we closed on April Fool's Day, which was kind of funny. And we opened a deli in Town Lake called Corner Bistro. Okay. And there we took it over from an existing business, and it wasn't doing so well. And I will never forget it. This lovely lady was sitting at her phone. She was probably in her 80s and at the table. And I hear her going, "You guys have to come here. They're very nice and the food is really good." And since then, I've learned that word of mouth is definitely the best form of advertising.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So then, fast forward, we had that for 5-6 years. And we went to look at another location near where we were doing a lot of catering. And that was where we are now. But it was too big to be a deli. And we're like, okay. And I don't know, God gave me a vision that, it's like, okay, well, we talked about other concepts and we did that. So our lunch menu is the deli pretty much. And then the dinner menu is our Southern Comfort concept that we pretty much created in like 2 weeks and opened the doors there. And we were there like 10 years. And then we'd drive by. We used to go to Winchester's all the time, which is where J. Michael's Prime is.
Yes. Okay.
And back in the day, it was my husband and I's favorite date night. And I would always drive by that building. And even though you can't see it because it's down a hill, we loved the building. And it was closer to our home. And one day we were driving, and I was like, I feel like God wants us to have this building. And it was on the market. And we made an offer. They declined. And the next year came by, and, then my husband's like, I think God wants us to have this building. And he's like, I don't know why. It's down a hill. It's like you can't see it. It's like, I think we're crazy, but, let's put another offer in. So we did another offer. It gets declined. Another year goes by, and they contact us going, hey, we'll take your final offer, if you're still interested. And within that same time frame, the lender, Community Bank, of Georgia, which are wonderful people, and they've helped us now, and we didn't know them then. We were referred to them by Bojangles' Crystal Beaver, who had Bojangles, and, she got loans from them. So they called us and said, hey, we want to give you money. And they're like, because we had talked about before and applied. And so long story short, we were able to get that, and we closed on it, and that's been 4 years or 10 years at RCB. And then COVID happened. We were building a new building, bought our own property, kind of put that on hold, waiting to see where God was going to go with the world and what was going to happen. But we ended up, the numbers were okay. The bank's like, no, you guys are good. We ended up closing out the year on a positive note somehow during COVID.
Great.
Wow.
And so now we just moved there January 13th. And when we went to move, we hadn't had COVID. My husband got COVID. My son got COVID.
Oh, no.
And my brother, uncle got COVID.
Wow.
So just a couple of us had to move the whole building and get over there.
Oh, wow.
And, I told my husband he owed me big after that was over.
Right.
But anyhow, he does a lot behind the scenes even when he's sick. So that's our story. It's like we're here, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community. And that's really, we're forever grateful.
Yeah, for sure. Lori, tell me how you use your influence in the community.
Well, I think one of the things, first off, I want to say community is so important. Especially, I think many of us live in this great community of Woodstock. Yeah. And, when you live in a place and you work in a place, you want it to be better. And so, we try to do a number of things here with the space that we have. And, obviously we want to make a profit, but I think more importantly is being involved with that community. So we do different events. We're pretty tied in with Must Ministries. We do a lot of different things for them. As a matter of fact, we've got a food drive going for them. I think it's just wrapping up here as we speak. And then like last year, we did an event called Axes of Kindness, where we had an event and we did axe throwing, which I know that sounds kind of weird, but it was a great event. It had a lot of fun, and all the proceeds from that event were, given to Must Ministries there. here.
Okay.
And we also, like every couple weeks, we have a company or a nonprofit called Sure Connections, which hosts their every 2-week podcast out of our conference room here. And they want to bring divine intervention to the workplace. So it's just a nice refreshing hour that, if you want to have some time out, take a breath, talk with other business community members, and, just kind of refresh midweek on a Wednesday for that next week, for the rest of the week there. But we try to, make our space available to the community in certain ways as well. So.
Aren't you guys getting ready to expand this location? We're like in the innovation spot right now. Like that's where we do this every month. And Stone does it more often than I do, but I jump in once a month and do the Women in Business. And it is so much fun. But yeah, we're in your space now. And aren't you getting ready to expand and do more?
We already expanded. So we have an additional 10,000 square feet in the building behind us that we opened up about a week ago. Opening day consisted of an event with Sure Connections, and we had Congressman Loudermilk out for that event. Mayor Caldwell was here as well, and we just had a fantastic, opening event there in that new space. And then something else that's exciting, which is just kind of in the works here for the last couple of days, is we are opening up an event hall. So we are going to have space in another building here within the park where we can house anywhere from about, I'd say 80 people or so in an event hall here. So there'll be an event center available for folks too. And we're hoping, and now this is where I always learn my lessons as I give a timeline. And I found with COVID and supply chain issues and everything, you don't always get those timelines met. But I'm hoping within a couple of weeks we'll be able to open that.
Okay, awesome. That is great. Christa, how do you use your influence in the community?
I wouldn't be where I am right now without the community in Woodstock. I mean, it has been such a wonderful support. I jumped right in to networking after starting my business, having no idea what to do. I just was going to do it and started meeting fantastic people. And it just, the camaraderie, the rallying, the referrals, it's just been such a wonderful experience. So I am so thankful for the city of Woodstock. I try to give back in a lot of different ways. I work with Encompass Ministry. We've done work with Every Link Matters, which is a local charity too for a special little girl. And because I still have kids in school, we are at River Ridge High School and Mill Creek Middle School. I support the PTA. I was actually on the PTA board for a couple of years, just loving on the teachers and the staff. We've got fabulous schools here in Cherokee County. We're so thankful for that. So I give back in sponsoring those types of programs, and as well as the sports. My daughter's a cheerleader, so I get involved in that and sponsor that way too, and just to give back to our community.
Well, who all is in your family or your household?
Well, it's my husband and I. Of course, we have our daughter and son, and then I have 2 cute little fur babies, a pug and a black lab, and then we also have a guinea pig that runs around the basement in a little cage. So,
and how old are your children?
Kieran is 18. She'll be 18, and then my son will be 13 this year, Lincoln.
Awesome. Shelly, tell us how you use your influence in the community.
I wouldn't do this if I didn't get to give back. And I think that was one thing. My husband and I originally thought we were going to go be missionaries on the mission field, and ended up but somehow inspiring our friends to do it, and we never did it. But we are involved with Serve. They help locally and internationally. I love ministries too. Drop off things anytime we can, and they're wonderful people. And we decided a long time ago that we really couldn't afford to pay for print and advertising and things like that, and going back to the word of mouth thing. But but my husband knows how much I like to give, and and he was like, Shelly, we can't do both, but what do you want to do? I was like, I want to give to everybody that asks, that wants something. And he was like, well, how do we do that? And I was like, even if it's small, so we never tell anybody no. I know I might be saying this out loud on the radio. My husband's probably like, oh my God. But if someone comes to us like a church or an organization or anything like that, or a golf tournament, we give at least a gift card to be used for a drawing, something like that. And then we try to do community events, raising money. We've done it for the blind, for Mr. Buchanan's organization. It's a golf tournament. I can't remember which one it was, but he was my very first customer at the new RCB. And he walked in, and we hadn't even opened yet, and he asked me for a donation. He's 94 years old today, and he's the most amazing man I've ever met in my life. And he's literally, he won't forget it. He's like, I go, how am I going to tell you no? I go, I don't have money yet. He's like, well, I sure hope you make money, but I feel bad if you don't. But we gave him the very first gift card out of that restaurant, and he's told everybody, I think. So we just try to, give in every way we can, any way we can, and also try to encourage other restaurateurs and other small businesses that, it's going to be okay. And, during COVID, my husband and I were talking, and I was crying and, not sure if we were going to make it. And I said, well, if we're going to go down, I want to go down helping people. So we started doing private date nights and things like that, just surprising people with things like if they couldn't afford to go out to eat, we would let them come through a drive-thru and get a meal or come get a meal for their family. So we just to do things like that.
Yeah, you're doing some kind of thing tonight. Aren't you doing something tonight that's like a gin
that's
the
end of the month. That's June 30th.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, I saw something on social media. What is that about?
Well, we do tastings, from time to time, and just fun stuff. And right now, I have a lot of ladies who really are interested in learning more about gin. And everybody, as ladies, we want the skinny drinks and low-cal. And, and then I have some friends that don't drink alcohol. So I've also, incorporate where we'll teach them that they can have mocktails and still feel part of the crowd and have a good time and have a healthy, refreshing drink with fresh herbs and juices and tonic waters and flavored waters and things like that. So I'm gonna let everybody make their own mocktail or cocktail, and we're gonna have it would be on our rooftop because we have a rooftop now. And so we just do that. And I'll have also my bartenders that if they're not working, I invite them to attend just for educational purposes.
So fun. Tell us who is in your family and in your household.
We're empty nesters now. So my husband and I have been married 34 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's how I know how old my oldest one is. He's 33. I always make him older, and he gets mad at me. And then my other son is I think he's 26. I think they're 7 years apart. I don't know if I did the math right. And he's our executive chef at Table 20 in Cartersville. So somehow, some way, both of our children are in the restaurant world. Okay. I think that's it. And a dog. How can I forget Zimba? He's 11. So my son rescued him when he was 15. And so we got him.
When your son was 15, not when the dog was 15,
yes.
Since he's 11. Got it. Took me a second. I was like, wait, what? Lori, who's in your household?
Oh, my goodness. So we are heading towards empty nesters, but we've still got two left in our household. My son, Colin, who is 18, who's also following in his mom and dad's footsteps and is an entrepreneur, and he has a mobile detailing business that he is doing now. So it'll buff details, and I just got to give a shout out to this kid. So about a year ago, he comes to me and says, "Mom, I don't think I want to continue with college, but I have a plan." I'm like, oh no, what's the plan? And he goes, I want to do my mobile detailing. He goes, I'm going to sell my Jeep. I'm going to buy a Ford Transit van. I'm going to logo it out, and I'm going to start my own business. I said, okay, prove me wrong. Go do it. And he's been doing awesome with that. So he's still at home, probably not for much longer though. And then we have our nephew, Jake, who is also at home, and he's about a year older than Colin. And then our Middle child, Amanda, she graduated KSU and she moved to Nashville about a year ago, and she's working as a communications director for the National Republican Party up there, the state GOP. Okay. So she's communications director up there, so she's doing really well. And then our oldest son, Ian, who is 32, got married about a year ago, and we have our first grandchild.
Aw, congrats. Is it a little boy or a little girl?
Little boy. His name is Dustin Thomas, and of course I'm partial, but he's the cutest kid in the world.
Of course he is. For sure. Let's talk about mentoring. I want to know if you are being mentored and if you are mentoring others and what that looks like. Lori, I'm going to stick with you for the moment.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that this morning as, one of the first mentors that I ever had in business. I was probably mid-20s, and an old boss of mine, Dave Ankenbrandt, when I was in the recruiting world, he was probably the best mentor I ever had. And I think one of the things that he taught me was really just, to be honest in business, and to be, what you say you're going to do it, and to be forthright with, if complications arise, which they always do, to just kind of come out with that in the kindest way possible, and, try to hit problems head on. And then obviously as you go through business, I learn from, I'm always trying to learn from people and just different scenarios and grasping knowledge, and how you run a business, how you manage people, how you lead people, not even manage people, because I think it's more about leadership than it is about managing. But that's, I would say that, mentoring and looking at different folks' ways of doing things is really important.
That's awesome. I always write stuff down when I'm in here. I'm always like, oh, people have the most amazing information and I want to learn from it. Shelly, tell us about mentoring. Are you being mentored? Are you mentoring others? What does that look like for you?
I think people mentor me without even knowing they mentor me. As like a lot of our regulars that come in and have become friends of mine, and I watch how they are with their family. I watch how they are with people. I watch how they treat my people, our family, our team, and I'm inspired by that every day. And I was thinking about this too. I had, of course, my old boss. I was with Outback Steakhouse corporate office, so Trudy Cooper, a woman in business and very successful, and she has on Swan in Tampa now. But she was so kind and so sweet, and she believed in me before I believed in myself. I started there when I was like in my 20s, and we had, I think, 5, and I left there when we had a 5,000. And there was only like 6 girls in the office for a little while, and then it moved up to 20 girls. Now it's a big Eiffel Tower thing. But, they just said, no, go figure out how to do this and do it. Oh, yeah, we can't make it, so we're going to send you on the jet, and you're going to go open, Charleston, West Virginia, help them with their training stuff. Or, hey, we need training material. You're going to go do this, or you're going to do a voiceover. So I got to learn a lot of different things and got thrown into things when I was pretty shy and pretty, not a go-getter, really just kind of, I was a people pleaser. I'm still a people pleaser, but she was definitely my ultimate mentor then. And, now it's really just the people, other people in businesses and other people just in life. But my ultimate mentor was my mother-in-law. And, she passed away. She lived with us. Oh, gosh, I'm going to cry. I always cry. But she was wonderful. And she was a businesswoman, but also she was the kindest woman I've ever known. And she definitely never said anything bad about anybody. Never did anything that I could think of was ever wrong. She was held at gunpoint twice working for McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
That's
scary.
Yeah. I told her, we're going to get you another job. I sent resumes out without her knowing it. And she was in her 60s, and she had tons of offers, and she thought, well, no one's going to hire me. I'm older, and that's not true. People want people. People want good people. And she was amazing at that too. She went and learned the car wash business. She learned how to fix the frickin' mechanics of a car wash. I was like, wow. Okay, she's just amazing. And, and even with her fight with cancer, she was amazing.
That's awesome. Christa, tell us about mentoring, if you're mentoring others, if others are mentoring you, and what all that looks like for you.
Well, I'll take a back and go back a little bit, because before children, I actually did something else. I was an optician for years, and that was a time that I was being mentored. I mean, it was in my 20s, and it was such a great experience to work under some really good doctors and some great business development people. So that helped me be able to, and then watching my husband as he was working his way up the ladder with the corporate, learning all those things as well. But then I stopped working. I had my kids, and I stayed home for 16 years.
You just worked a different way. Mm-hmm. Don't say you stopped working. You probably worked harder in many ways.
I started working for free for 16 years.
There you go.
And that really was a growing period for sure. But when I finally decided to, I've always had this dream of starting my own business. And so it just all started coming together. And getting into networking, I wasn't seeking a mentor. I was just trying to figure out what to do. And people you kind of end up in an environment where people are gravitated, or you're gravitated to that person, and you just begin to learn. And I tell you, I'm still just 1 year old in this, and I'm just a sponge. I mean, just tell me, and I'm going to just absorb it all and let it float in there and put it into action. If it's something that definitely resonates. So I have been so fortunate in this past year to find 3 amazing women. And I don't even know that they know for sure that I consider them my mentors, but if I need something, or if I have questions, and I'm not afraid to ask, and to just be vulnerable with people. So I will just sit down and just share my heart, or whatever it is. And they are just right there for me and guiding me. And when it's right, and when those things land and the right path. So I'm so thankful for that. And that's all happened through networking, through here in Woodstock. Again, just, it's been fantastic.
Yeah. I do feel like when you approach something vulnerably, or, that you're more open to learning, and people are more open to giving to you. When you approach something like, I already know everything, then you're not going to learn as much, and people aren't going to be open to sharing with you. So I think that's awesome. Why don't you tell us about a mistake you've made in the last year, since that's how long you've been in business, and how you fixed it?
Just one?
No. Just pick the best one.
Right, I know. I will have to say, I've thought about this question, and I think my biggest mistake was the inability to say no. Because in some ways I'm a people pleaser, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. So I just kind of, okay, and I'll go along with something when I know in my gut it just doesn't feel right. But then I thought, well, maybe I'll learn some lessons through it. And of course there are always lessons. So I try to stay open to that. But I accepted a certain event just because it was an event. So I was like, oh, let me take it. And, but in my gut, I just knew something wasn't right. It just didn't sit right. And in the end, not only was it ended up being, more, I was volunteering, so I actually, and more so, I was even just basically paying to be there. It was, it's not about the money so much as just the environment and the tone and the way you were treated. And so I knew it wasn't right, but I just went for it. And so that was one of my biggest mistakes.
So you learned to trust your gut more.
Trust my gut, and yes, and be more confident as time's gone by. You just to say no thanks, pass.
Right.
Love the concept, but no, can't do that for you.
Shelly, what about you? Tell us about a mistake that you've made and how you fixed it.
Oh, goodness. I make mistakes every day of my life. So we're in the restaurant world, you have so many different people, so many different things going on at the same time. I think mainly my biggest mistake is every day, or from day to day, is I guess underestimating, the power of prayer. you know, when you don't know what to do, and it's not up to you to come up with the answers. You know, it's like you don't always have the answers, and we deal with so many incredible young people, and you know, I think people constantly want to say, "Oh, the young people of the day, they're lazy, they don't do this." It's just not true. And I think the biggest mistake is to underestimate somebody or to assume you know somebody without really getting to know them or understanding where they're coming from. And, you know, I've over the years, you know, I've had to learn to take a step back and go, you know, figure out who they are before I make an assumption or get frustrated because they're not doing something that I think they should already know or things like that. So I make those mistakes all the time because then God, you know, I do something and I was like, I shouldn't have done that. And I beat myself up for a week. And, you know, even with the customer, you know, I always tell, you know, the employees, you know, if someone's coming in, they're gruff, you don't know where they just came from. Could have came from the hospital. Could have came from a funeral. Could have came from a lonely house. Could have came from an abuse situation. I was like, so just don't take it personal, you know, and just be there.
Yeah, that's great. Lori, tell us about your mistake.
Yeah, which
Humble
one?
yourself.
Which one? The one from this morning, or no? You know, I think kind of thinking about it, I like what Shelly had to say there about the power of prayer. I think that's, you know, pray first and then act, I think is obviously the most important thing. But I'll get to a specific here is, you know, as I said earlier on in the conversation here that, you know, we opened during, you know, just as COVID was finishing, and trying to do a full build out and construction. This space that you're in right now was basically just in a shell. There were no offices in it. There was it was a church previously, but it was just an open space, and so we had to source so many different materials. I remember the architectural lights, those kind of cool round lights that you see throughout the building here. We were trying to get those, and I think there's 8 of them or so in the building here. I think I bought each one from a different vendor.
Oh, wow.
So, during COVID, you know, supply chain issues, and there's still a problem. You know, we're still trying to source some materials for the expansion that we just opened up. So I think my biggest mistake is, you know, you live in a pre-COVID world, and now we live in a post-COVID world here, and it is just they're different worlds. But it's trying to not overpromise something, and to say, okay, my goal is for this time frame, but you know, we obviously have to look at reality, and maybe, you know, from a business perspective, we can't get to that point. So I think it's just trying not to overpromise different things.
And do you have a message that's for women specifically?
You know, I was kind of trying to think about that one, and you know, I think it's to be intentional, you know, and to really think about what your goals are, and especially, you know, women in business, as, you know, what is that goal that you want to achieve? Write it down. I mean, I know we've all been to different seminars and leadership conferences, but write that goal down, because if you can write that goal down and you can see that goal, then you can start making steps to reach that. But it's being intentional each day. I mean, like I said to our community manager, Kelly, who is fabulous, by the way, I've got to give a little shout out for her here. I could not do this without her. I mean, she's my right hand.
Always smiling, too.
Oh my gosh, she is like the happiest person in the world. I don't know how she does it, but she is fabulous. But, you know, one of the things that I've learned through her is that intentional piece. And like I said, I was just talking to her the other day. I'm like, you know, I feel like I've got this laundry list of to-dos, and I walk out of here and the list got longer. You know, so, you know, but I think it's looking at that big picture. What is that goal, and how are you going to reach that goal, and being intentional about it?
Okay. Shelly, tell us about a message. Do you have a message that's specifically for women?
I think mainly, I guess I can just talk from my past. I tried a lot of things and I gave up too easily, too quickly. I think now, thank God, by mentors and things like that. And I try to live on purpose, and because we didn't get to go be on a missionary field, I try to be of service here locally. And, my husband will say, well, this is your mission field, and make a difference in young people's lives is my ultimate goal. And also to, just keep being the best people. Just don't give up. Just, and if you don't know something, learn it. Don't think you can't learn it no matter what age you are. I had to teach myself how to bartend. I had to teach myself how to bake. I had to teach myself how to, all kinds of things, and there's things that intimidate me, but I still am like, all right, well, I'm going to YouTube it. I'll figure it out. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Christa, do you have a message that's for women specifically?
Actually, it's interesting because when I started this business, I know it's events and it's celebrations and it's purposeful gatherings, but my heart is for women because I know that there are so many out there that are in a spot that just, they don't know. And it's a crossroads and it can be at any age. So you have coming up on an empty nester, what do I do with my life now? I relate it back to how I felt when the kids are older and they don't need me. I don't need to be home all the time. And I knew I wanted to get back at something and say, what do I do now? And so it's just thoughtful, purposeful prayer, intent, that you take the time to figure out what your passion is and what's your heart calling. Like, what is it that you really would just love to do? What is your dream? And then go for it. Because every woman has that strength inside of them. And there are so many of us that I learned myself that if you're just willing to ask the question, if you're willing to just be a little vulnerable with somebody and say, this is my dream. What do you think, or how can you, and let's build each other up. For me, that's everything. I am so passionate about that we are now putting together. I'm working with some of my favorite ladies, and we are putting together a conference that we're going to be having and hosting sometime early next year.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you. I was like, I don't know if you're ready to talk about this yet, but one night we were together and you had talked about a conference. Tell us what this conference is what your vision is for it.
It's ever evolving. So I sat down with, I sat down individually with some women and just shared like what I felt the calling was. And then we met as a group because they all felt it important. And it is for women, as young as 18 or 17, when you're at that crossroads of, I'm getting ready to leave high school. What do I do now? I have a daughter that's there. Or again, empty nester, or a 70-year-old woman whose husband passed away, whatever it is. And then you have to start over. What do I do? And where do I go? And that's what this conference is going to be, a place to motivate, to inspire, to not just that, but to give you the tools when you walk out the door. Because sometimes you get all rah-rahed while you're in the middle of this conference and you just feel so great. And then you walk out of the door and reality hits you right in the face and you don't even know what to do. And you hit the roadblock and then you give up. This is going to be an intentional conference where you are going to be meeting with other women, coming alongside each other, and basically creating that mentorship. And it'll be organic. It's not going to be you're assigned to this, but it will definitely be an organic build. And so I'm super excited about it. It's going to be called Fly a Kite. That's the name of that came from just an experience that I had. An unfortunate experience, and the person was very ugly about it. And instead of telling me what they really wanted to say, they said, "Go fly a kite." And I didn't even know what to do. I just sat there stunned. But afterwards, after, licking my wounds for like a day, I said, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? And it just started coming to me. I'm like, that's the name of your conference. You've had this conference, and that's going to be so fly a kite. And then there's so many metaphors to that. When you learn to fly a kite and getting these women to reach new heights, that is what the goal of this is.
Catching the wind.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about, Christa, what is the greatest challenge that you're facing now as a business or an industry?
Right now, I think it's pretty universal. It's that supply and the staffing. When it comes to events, you have venue shortages. You don't, or overbookings or anything like that. So it's that supply and demand. And so if you have your last minute planners that want to, throw a party or do something in a few weeks, it's much more difficult to get what you want out of that. So that's where, when the event industry just shut down for COVID. So it was
right. What about you, Shelly? What challenges are you facing as a business or industry?
Oh goodness, where do you begin? Supply and demand, definitely. The cost of food cost. Trying to, it's a domino effect with everything. Farmers, agriculture. It's like people can't even get, formula for babies, it's like there's just, you just don't realize the impact it does. And even like we have buildings and they don't build things like they used to. We have a brand new building and we're, things are still breaking down. It's a brand new building. Things haven't really worked yet. And this is,
right.
Those kind of things. So, and it's, trying to get, you might have a warranty, but trying to get a worker to come when they don't have any, they don't have enough people there. So you're still having something break down in a restaurant. And they say it's going to be a week, can be eternity.
Yeah. What about employees for you?
We are blessed in that area. I know, it's like a lot of my fellow restaurateurs and business people are like, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I'm going to say God again, but it's also just, we have father-daughters. We have sisters working for us. We have best friends. We have, they all bring each other in, our parents who are like, I want my kid to work for you. I don't want them to, if they're going to work in the restaurant world, I want them to work for you. So it's again, just, we have people that are back from college, for summer help and those kind of things. No, don't get me wrong. Nobody loves the dishwash. So that is our biggest one to keep filled.
For sure, for sure.
Not a glamorous job, and but it's the most important job. I know. So.
Right. All right, Lori, what about you?
I don't know that I'm going to say anything new here. I laugh about what Shelly was just saying about the dishwashing job. My son, one of his first jobs was as a dishwasher, and I think it was last week that he told me that was just not the key job that he liked the most. But, going back to the supply chain issue, you're doing a build out and you're trying to get, equipment and whatnot there. So I think that is probably one of the hardest things that we've had to deal with. Much like Shelly had said, employees, that has been a great experience. Like I said, Kelly, Amanda helped by my daughter opened up, when we first opened, she was our front desk and she was awesome. And then she went on to, further her career up in Nashville. But then Kelly came, and I've known Kelly for years. So that was a huge blessing to have her join us. But, I think it's really just goes back to the supply chain issues that we've been experiencing that, and unfortunately, I don't see it going away anytime soon. But we have had some, we've got some great vendors that have been working for us. Our commercial contractor, Mike Bedingfield, has been phenomenal. He stands by us every single time we get another crazy harebrained idea here, and he's here meeting with us and helping us out with that. So, you just try to work through it, and it goes back to networking, and it's those people that you meet through your community and trying to give local businesses the first opportunity, because I think they're going to be the first ones that want to be able to help you.
That's absolutely true. I feel to reach out to those that are right here in your backyard, and they usually are right there for you whenever you need something.
They've definitely come to our rescue, and I'm so thankful for Cherokee Connect. I don't know if you guys know that source, but anytime I need a plumber, anytime I need something, they're always everybody helps us. Thank God.
So we're going to start winding down, and I would like to start the beginning of the end with you, Lori, and tell us a tip of your trade, and then tell us how others can get in touch with your business.
I think it goes back to what you were at, the question you asked about specific advice to women, and I think it's just across the board. A tip of the trade is, we work with different businesses. I mean, we've had Stone in here for about I think Stone was one of our first OGs here. He came in and got the office. I think we'd been open a month. So he's been here the longest out of any of our members. But, a lot of different members, from mortgage lenders to real estate to IT folks. But it comes back to being intentional. Set those goals, come up with a plan, write them down, take baby steps towards them. And because if you don't write them down, they're probably not going to happen, because it'll just get pushed to the back burner. But being intentional, I think, is the tip that I can give anybody in business.
And how do we get in touch with your business?
How do you get in touch with us? Oh my gosh, there's a multitude of ways to do that. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. You can just look up the Innovation Spot in Woodstock. Of course, our website, www.theinnovationspot.com, or you can give us a call at 770-262-3668, and or of course stop by our offices. We're only a half a mile from the amphitheater here on Arnold Mill Road, so we are very close to downtown Woodstock, anytime between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Shelly, give us a tip of the trade, and then let us know how to get in touch with you.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think here. There's so many things. I think just being willing to evolve and change, being open to it, because it is going to, it has to change to grow. And that would be my tip, is just, be ready for it and get ready, because you're going to have to change something. You might be out of something. You might do whatever, or you might, need to rethink your whole thought process. We just tripled the size of our restaurant. Our menu's very big. We might have to, modify that a little bit. And then as far as getting a hold of us, we are on Facebook, and I know we're on Instagram, Twitter. I'm not really good with all those. I'm on Facebook. I can do that one, but I'm not really good with all the rest. And then we have jmichaelsprime.com and rcbcanton.com. And let's see, we have my email address is out there everywhere. My phone number, personal phone number, my husband's. We are owners that are in the business. We're in the building. One owner is in a building. No matter what time of the day it is, you can always find us. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Okay, Christa, give us a tip of the trade and how to get in touch with your business.
Well, tip of the trade, I think, as far as events go, but also just generally in life, I think, or business, is to just keep an open mind and think outside the box. And that's what 988 Events is all about, is bringing a unique twist to any type of event that you want to have for your company, for your staff, for individual parties. And of course, having a budget in mind is a big thing too. But we can be found on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn as well. It's 988 Events. It's actually 9 is NINE, and then the number is 88events.com. And that's basically our tag on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to tell y'all a little about our specials. We have monthly specials at Alpha and Omega Automotive. And so this month we have a fuel induction service for just $99.99, which is normally $139.99. And I'm going to tell you what it is. A fuel induction service is a process where carbon deposits are cleared from portions of your engine. When you start and run your vehicle, buildup from fuel and air can cause slight carbon buildup inside the engine parts. And it's recommended either every 60,000 miles, or if you're noticing performance issues. We also always have first-time customers get 15% off parts on their first time. As long as they ask for the coupon, you got to ask for it, Anyway, we are grateful to be here. And once again, my name is Lori Kennedy. Thank you for joining us on Women in Business, powered by Business RadioX. And until next time, keep learning and growing.